Yeah, we got that one. Dragging out on the end of that point. Oh, not a bad fish either. Little Roosevelt Lake bass. I thought you were biting me, punk. Oh, oh, we lost him. I barely had him hooked in the lip. Well, folks, catch and release. The good news about that, when you get to see them come right to the boat and you lose them like that, you don't have to worry about going home and washing your hands with all the smelly fish hands. Welcome to Roosevelt Lake. We're here in the dead heat of summer, August. I don't think there's another boat on this lake. And I thought, man, you know, been a while since I actually came out here, and I know it's been, this lake's been tough over the years. But it's been a while since I came out during the dead heat of summer like this, because I'm a mountain boy and I love the White Mountains this time of year. Decided to get just a little bit early start here on the show and show you a little bit of some summer patterns. What I'm throwing is basically a little craw, Texas rigged. I'm using 17-pound test line, 3/8 ounce tungsten bullet weight. Okay. I put a little bead on there because, you know, when the crawdads hit the rocks and things like that, you can hear that bead clack. And then what I'm doing to make this bait really slick and sleek looking is I'm using just an offset shank worm hook, like so, okay? That's what I'm doing. Makes everything a little bit tighter when you're just dragging out here on the open water like this. If I was flipping or something like that, I'd go to the wide gap hook, but doing that, I'm throwing a heavy action rod. And this is also a great time of year to Carolina rig, just so you know. And then a 5.2 to 1 gear ratio reel for my worm. You can go to a 6, you know, whatever you're comfortable with there on that. Just don't go with a real low gear ratio reel, but a lot of them are high speed nowadays. So, and that's what I'm throwing. And we're out here and I'm seeing some fish, but the key to summer fishing, the key to it, I think, is to be sure that you hit a lot of points that have good drop-offs to them, not sloping points. You want points that come out and have those little ledge drop-offs. And those fish will get up there maybe in the evening and feed in a little bit shallower water, and then they'll drop right back off during the heat of the day. They'll drop right back off that point. And that's what I'm doing here. As I'm way off the bank here and I'm fishing, well, my boat's now drifted into 18 foot of water, but I'm actually having my boat in about 30 to 40 foot of water, and I'll hit that ledge. So once I hit that ledge, then I know those fish are there. There's still fish on the bottom, 20, 25 foot of water. You gotta think deep this time of year. Until you start seeing those fish actually going up and busting them shad, you gotta think deep. So that's what I'm doing now, is just thinking about that ledge, dropping off that ledge. You do a lot of dragging this time of year, and that's another thing that that's real crazy. You'll catch your fish out from behind the boat because, you know, what I'm doing is basically hitting the trolling motor real lightly and just kind of dragging it along. And there's another one. About time I set the hook. And when you figure it out, baby, that's what you do. Look at that fish. Oh, get in here. I wasn't gonna lose that one. Nice fish. They'll school right up on those. Look how, he's as sleek as my bait. He's a skinny little dude. But, you know, caught him down there in about that 20-foot range. Texas rig. You know, a lot of times you can go to that drop shot. Drop shot works great too. But I love showing different techniques, and I'm hoping for a little bit bigger fish than that. Right on those drop-offs, a lot of times you can hook into some real serious business, let me tell you. Gotta get me another craw. Got him. That was it. That was the ticket. I knew it. Look at this graph right here. Look at this graph. That's where I just caught that fish out of, right there, folks. Straight underneath the boat. 22 foot of water. Oh, and he came off. I happened to just see these fish underneath while I'm Texas rigging, throwing out, and I'm like, oh man, I wished I had my drop shot out. Wished I had my drop shot out. Finally, I'm like, okay, I can't stand it no more. One of my favorite ways to catch fish during the winter and during the summer, when these fish like to go deep, is it's almost like playing a computer game anymore with your graphs. Learn how to read your graph, know what you're looking at, drop right on them. A lot of times you drop that bait straight on them, and once you make the drop, you can watch the fish follow the bait down, catch the fish. They bite it. You just pull up on it, it's heavy. Boom, you know you got them. I threw right in the middle of a wolf pack of fish right there, and one of them went down there and got it, which was that fish there. About 22 foot of water. The ticket to doing this kind of fishing though is moving your bait, your trolling motor really slow so you can stay with the bait once you find the fish on the graph. When I see the fish like this suspended, I mean, that's, you know, that could be gizzard shad running around, all that stuff, but I'll tell you, once you start learning how to read your graph and seeing what fish you're looking for, it makes it a lot easier, because what I'm doing is finding those fish that are sitting on the bottom that are ready to feed up on something. These are suspended fish here, but there's one down there on the bottom. Ain't very big, but, well, I lied. That little dude falling. Oh my goodness, little drop shot bass. I love it. I love playing those video games. There is nothing more fun than playing those video games with these fish. Come on, buddy. All right. We'll get him back down in the water real quick. Watch him, watch him. Boom, he's gone. Just about every time I go fishing, I like to have some kind of a 1-2 punch. And what I mean by that is have a second bait or something like that that you can go after, even when you have somebody in your boat. That you have a couple of different baits on that you can go to. You know, throwing that Texas rig out there catches a lot of fish. And what I noticed is there's a lot of fish coming right up underneath the trolling motor in that 22, 23 foot of water, that if you have a spoon or a drop shot, you can throw down there and catch those fish. And you're able to catch them. And so instead of just casting this bait out, all I'm doing is just dropping it straight down underneath the boat, and I'm watching it on my graph. I'm watching it fall straight down, and the fish are picking it up. Straight down. That's 45 feet of water. But there's a good drop off there. So when you're Texas rigging and throwing up on these points and you're on these drop offs, always have a drop shot ready or a spoon, that if you're seeing a lot of fish just directly under the boat, and what happens is these fish are roaming, chasing shad, they're roaming, they're moving around. So you'll just be sitting there and all of a sudden you'll see a wad of fish going under the boat. And the cool thing about our graphs today is you can actually watch your line go all the way down to catch those fish. I mean, and those fish are sitting down there. There's fish right there. That's in 33 feet of water. I'm just letting my bait, you can see how my bait, we're kind of moving, but the bait's going down. I'll let it go all the way down. See what happens. It's down on the bottom. Now see, you can tell the fish didn't go grab it, because there's a tail on that end, and there, you know, he might turn around though. First thing I like to do when I drop this thing all the way to the bottom is imagine that worm sitting there, and drop your rod tip even when the weight hits the bottom so the worm floats down to the weight. Don't even move it. And a lot of times when you go to pick it back up, you pick it up real slow and it feels real spongy, like you're caught on weeds. You set the hook and there's the fish. Got him. We got him. I knew it. Ooh, he's a fighter. That's what I'm talking about, son. Little video game bass. I love it. That's right, you ate it, didn't you? All right, come on, buddy. You done? All right, you're done. You just soaked me. All right. He hammered that thing when it went to the bottom. Just hammered it. I picked up on it and doink. I'll tell you what, this is a lot of fun. And there's hardly any boats out here. We got just enough cloud cover to keep it, I don't want to say somewhat cool, but at least pleasant. And I'll tell you what, it makes for a lot of fun to come out here because I was really worried we were going to sweat. But I really wanted to get out here and see if we couldn't show you a little bit of a summertime type pattern. Do you realize that we haven't moved off this point? I haven't moved. I've seen one boat on this lake and it's been going back and forth, and we haven't moved off this point. I just keep going around off this point. And if you take a look at the graph, this is what's so much fun. If you take a look at this, oh, look at all the fish down there. Oh my goodness. Some suspenders. But take a look at the map. Okay, right here at the map. See, we haven't moved off this whole point right here. We've stayed right here. We haven't moved off of it. Matter of fact, I'll drop that down there on another fish. What the heck? See if I can't catch us another fish. But what's really cool is this particular area right in here, you can just go right around it. And where it's blue is where it's a little bit shallower and then it just drops right off. But I'll tell you what, this particular area is really nice. You find areas like this, just pick up different baits or just kind of wait for them to swim underneath you when they're swimming and just drop the bait down. It makes for a lot of fun. It really does. And it's, I've taken a lot of clients out when I'm guiding. And if we're having a tough time catching fish, a lot of times I'll just wait and we'll have them drop right down there underneath the trolling motor when they see the fish. And there's nothing more fun, more gratifying than to catch a fish off your graph. It's just so much fun because you really feel like you got away with something on that one, you know? Oh, there's a fish there. But you really feel like you got away with something when you catch one off the graph. And you can see this is my line going down. So, see if anything bites it. Kind of missed that fish. Oh, something moved. Got him! That's how you do it right there, folks. Oh! Seeing that 33 feet of water right there. You really got to be careful. These fish want to just bolt up on you sometimes. And you got to be careful not to blow them up. That little, look at that. We'll let him go real quick so you get back down to depth. What happens too is if you can let the fish dig a little bit and bring him up slow, it's great. But a lot of times these fish are hitting and they're coming straight up, out. But their little swim bladder gets full, the air bladder gets full, and you can actually, if you've ever caught fish deep, you'll see sometimes if you reel them up real quick, their eyeballs are bulging and you'll see part of their stomach coming out of their mouth. And, so you got to be real careful with them when you catch them that deep. We're having a lot of fun here at Roosevelt today in the middle of the summer catching deep fish, catching fish right out from underneath the boat using our graph. I get a lot of emails all the time asking me, Johnny, how do I set my graph up? The new graphs today are awesome. You pull them out of the box, the factory settings are pretty much where you want to be. Outside of maybe using the zoom button or the sensitivity button. And you can get it, play with it a little bit, pull it out of the box, touch the buttons, get the palettes set the way you want them. But if you don't like it, just go back to factory settings. If you're having problems reading your graph, push it back to factory settings because usually that's the setting that's the best when you're first learning how to use a graph. For years, I went around fishing these lakes really shallow and I saw one guy in these tournaments that seemed to be fishing deep back in the day, and it was John Murray. He's a master at deep water fishing, and I could never figure out what in the world was he doing out in the middle of the lake. Since I've learned how to read a graph, I'll tell you what, I know what I've been missing. And I can't believe how much fun he must have been having catching fish out deep while the rest of us were up fishing shallow, not getting bit. And I'll tell you what, since I've learned that, it's made fishing a lot more fun and a lot more gratifying. And I'll tell you what, you get out there, learn how to read your graph, learn how to catch those fish out from underneath your graph, and you're gonna have a lot more fun on your next fishing trip. Oh, baloney. He went after it. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Oh yeah, that's a better fish. Look at that. Ooh! Oh! That's a little bit better fish. Look how fat he is. You don't think they're eating good? Look at that. See you, buddy. They like crawdads this time of year too. And they definitely like scorpions. The scorpion quail-tail worm. I love it. And there you have it. You know, the one thing that's real important too that I like is to be sure that I have at least 12 to 17 inches of leader line from my sinker to my hook. And that way it gets a good, when the weight hits the bottom, it just falls nice and easy right there in front of them. I'll tell you what, that's an awesome, awesome rig right there for this kind of fishing. When fishing gets tough, this is the way to do it. That was in 30 foot of water. You know, we're finding a lot of these fish are between 20 and about 30, 35 foot of water today. And if you stay in those areas like that, and the one thing that's really important too, is to know that this technique that I'm doing today works really good underneath the boat. I would say from depths of 20 feet down, you can catch them in shallower water when they're more aggressive or they're swimming under, but hitting the trolling motor and things like that, I think tend to spook them a little bit in that when you're shallower. So it seems like 20 foot seems to be the magic number for me to catch these fish straight under the boat or deeper. So that might be a little help. And we got him. And we got him. That's not a bad little fish right there. There he is. That's the fish we just saw down here. And I zoomed up. These are the fish. Come on, dude. You could almost eat a sandwich. You know what? We've had a great time. I've had a great time on the show. You know, we're going into our fall and winter season, and I'll tell you what, midsummer like this, you can still go out and catch a lot of fish. And I want to thank you all for watching today. Thanks for allowing me in your home. And I do want to thank all the sponsors of the show that help support us and allow us to come into your living room every week. Go out and learn how to use your graph. You'll catch a lot of fish. Till next week, we'll see you on the water. I'm Johnny Johnson.